What is going on, everybody? It's Alex coming back at you with another video. And today we are going to be doing a 2-round mock draft because Devontae Adams was traded. Now, for you guys who are regulars of the channel, I'm away in New Orleans right now, so I am definitely not going to be in the same environment as usual. Apologies about the lighting, the echoiness. Regardless, I know you guys love me. But still, if you guys are new, like, comment, subscribe if you guys like all that draft stuff because I do it almost every single day. Also, thanks for the birthday wishes, guys. I know I've been getting a lot of it down in my comment section, down into my Discord DMs, so I appreciate it. And let's kick into the video. Start off with the number one pick. It used to be always offensive line for me because you look at it, there's the top three tackles, and then you're taking a risk on Trevor Penning even being able to start. Unfortunately, they've made a plethora of moves that make me a little bit more anxious. I thought Ikem Ekwonu would have been an amazing number one pick if they did not bring on Brandon Scherff. That's a big issue. Now, could they still do that if they want? Because I know Andrew Norwell's not there. They could. That's probably not the case, though. And that's because Aidan Hutchinson is a phenomenal talent. And honestly, they probably want to hit with this number one pick. I am starting to think it could be KT, though, because they are getting a lot of surefire prospects on their roster, and they might want to swing for the fences. That being said, we're still going to go with Aidan Hutchinson here. Again, his odds are probably the best to be the number one pick at this point. Phenomenal player. Should have probably won the Heisman, in my opinion. Definitely somebody who could be a top 10 type of dude at his position. His ceiling isn't as high as a Bosa, but I definitely love that his floor is pretty much Trey Hendrickson, and that is phenomenal. Like, if your floor is Trey Hendrickson, we've seen how much of an impact he's made for the Bengals. I think that would be an A+ move for the Jaguars to have just a consistent 10 sack a year guy. Can play inside, can play outside. Big fan of what Aidan Hutchinson can do in Jacksonville. Number two, so this is what I was talking about. I thought the biggest winner was not any team specifically, but it was KT himself. Because if we have an edge rusher go number one, at number two, unless you're trading back or taking Malik Willis, it's a guaranteed KT. And again, he is worth a number one overall pick. So that is the way it is. Are they going to go after offensive line? I don't think they go after Icky unless they want to get rid of Taylor Decker, who's on a very friendly deal, who's very solid. I don't think that'd be the best move. If they wanted to do that and just go back-to-back top 10 picks on offensive line, I mean, I'm not against it. I love building the offensive line. That being said, we are going to be going KT here out of Oregon. Guy has pretty much been the number one pick throughout the entire year until Aidan just had his extreme comeback year in his senior year. So big fan of what Aidan could bring, but KT just provides something that most teams can't. And regardless of how the Lions kind of went in free agency, I think that KT, his ceiling is totally worth it. If you can get a top 5 pass rusher at the position, that's a pretty damn good deal. So I love it as well. You do have some surefire dudes there, and now you're bringing in someone that could be really a big swing for the fences. Number 3 for the Texans, this is going to be Evan Neal all the way. Ikem could be a really good option, but I do think that it's starting to look like it's looking like Laremy Tunsil's probably going to be traded. But Ikem Ekwonu is an amazing option if you want to basically put him at guard and replace Titus Howard. Evan Neal could do that too. He is 332 pounds at 6'7". Guys, as lean as I am, he's probably more lean than I am at this point. And he's just an absolute freak. I love his technique is off the charts. I think that he might need to get a little bit bigger. We could see Ikem go before him, but Evan Neal played left tackle, played right tackle, might be the best fit for the Texans all around. Number 4 for the Jets. Now, I like to go after Sauce Gardner at this point. With the talent on the board, that's just not possible. It's not. When you could potentially be losing out on Ike Ekwonu and Charles Cross, that's a big no. Morgan Moses is gone. I know you guys have George Fant, but that's 1 year with a guy who honestly doesn't have the ceiling anywhere close to Ikem Ekwonu. So definitely going to be rocking out with Ikem here and the Giants. So with this, you could look at not Malik Willis, but a lot of people talk about wide receiver to the team. I don't see it. They brought on Robert Foster. That just shows that they're trying to build some good depth to their roster. After paying Kenny Golladay the big payday last year, I just don't see them investing top 5, top 7 pick in that. Edge rusher, you could talk about Travon Walker, but at the end of the day, the biggest need is offensive line. And the biggest position of rarity in this draft, besides these top 3 tackles, is offensive tackle. And it's still a big position that Giants need to fill. They filled the interior of the offensive line in free agency with, I believe, John Feliciano, and I'm forgetting the other interior offensive lineman, Mark Glowinski from the Colts. So they've done a phenomenal job so far. I think going Charles Cross here could seal the deal, kind of putting the Panthers in a tough position. They were all in on Deshaun, made a really good offer, and they realized that they were out of the race. That's unfortunate. So would they ever go after a tackle? No. But they're still searching for that franchise QB. I think that has to be Malik Willis at this point. Malik Willis out of Liberty is on the board. You have to go after him. And let's just check the dudes who are on the board. You have Kyle Hamilton here, Travon Walker, Derek Stingley, Sauce Gardner. This draft is starting to shape up to be a really damn good one. And like, this is pretty much every draft that you hear this, but there are guys in this class that really do have that super ceiling. Next year's class is a couple dudes, but nothing. Honestly, I can't say that there's a corner close to Sauce Gardner. And I love Eli Ricks. People call me out on it, but I love Eli Ricks. I don't think he'd ever beat Sauce Gardner in my mind. Regardless, at number 7, this could be Sauce Gardner, but we just saw Logan Ryan get released and Jabril Peppers is gone. So you have Xavier McKinney and pretty much who else at that safety position. And Kyle Hamilton is a game-changing safety. This is the deepest edge class arguably we have ever seen. If you're in the second round, you're at worst getting Cam Thomas, Boye Mafe, Arnold Ebiketie, or even Kingsley Enagbare, Drake Jackson, maybe in the third. Take the guy who, he's only falling because of that 4.56 40. And that's not even bad. With his range, with his length, I think that honestly he might speed up a little bit more as time goes on. I think the guy is an absolute steal here. Charles Cross and Kyle Hamilton, 2 positions that are filled with some very high-level prospects. Charles Cross is number 1 tackle on a lot of people's boards. He's number 3 on mine just because I don't think there's the upside there, but I still think he's a phenomenal prospect. Number 8 for the Falcons here. Oh, that's a tough one because I really want to go Sauce, but they just brought on Casey Hayward for a 2-year deal. And granted, we all know a 2-year deal that has barely enough guarantee to get past the first year very well could mean that's a 1-year deal. At the same time, linebackers also on the board, but I do think with the lack of aggressiveness for a wide receiver, there's been names like Jamison Crowder thrown in there. That's like the best name I've heard so far. That is going to be a big no-no. You have to strike on something. Garrett Wilson can play in the slot. He can play boundary. You need to do something. Your top 3 wide receivers a year ago are gone. Ridley, gone for whether you agree it's stupid or not, he's gone. Julio, he's on the market. He ain't coming back, though. And then you also talk about Russell Gage, who is, I believe, now at Tampa Bay. Ouch. Yeah, so you need to hit on this. Garrett Wilson is a stud prospect. I love him. 4.38, 40-yard dash. Guy's insane body control. I have a top 10 receivers video up right now. Feel free to check that out. It's actually 15, but we go into depth on 10. I think it's a pretty damn solid list. I like it. But yeah, Garrett Wilson has to be the target here. Has to be him, Drake London. You got to find somebody. And I think Garrett Wilson is that dude. Number 9 for the Seattle Seahawks. Quarterback would have been a good pick if Malik Willis were here. It's not. I don't think tackle's a good one. I feel like Travon Walker out of Georgia could be a phenomenal option. We've seen multiple corners, if I'm not mistaken, sign with the Seattle Seahawks. We saw Sidney Jones go there. But at the same time, this team thrived off the Legion of Boom. And one of the biggest contributors to that was Richard Sherman. And I think Sauce Gardner is better than Richard Sherman. I mean, yeah, it's going to be like one of those things where if he fails out, that's going to be like a very bad look on me. But I still think Sauce Gardner at 6'3", 441, best man coverage skills I've ever seen, best press I've ever seen. And this is against Notre Dame and Alabama that I'm talking about, not against Eastern Carolina. This guy is different. He's different. Best player I've ever graded in history, hands down. Better than Penei Sewell, who I was having a rager boner over. I loved Penei Sewell. I love Kyle Pitts. Sauce Gardner is on a different level. Number 10 for the Jets. So this is actually a tough one because you can go Travon Walker here and get an absolute monster. At the same time, you also kind of want to be able to invest in your quarterback and go Drake London here, get a solid ass boundary receiver. That's a tough one. That is. And I think that, he would be a very interesting option because you can use him inside or out. You could also, again, that edge position, Travon Walker is still there. But I know that Lawson did come back on a 1-year deal. So if I'm not mistaken, that is going to be perfectly fine for the roster. I still think you swing for the fences. Corey Davis has not been the impact player that you wanted to be. No matter how much Zach Wilson loves to force the ball to him, he's not going to be that upside guy. Drake London arguably is a blue chip player on my board, and he's going to be going next anyways if he doesn't. So get Drake London in there and light it up. Number 11, you got Washington on the board. And when you have to analyze what they'd be probably trying to do in the next round, because, I mean, honestly, you move back multiple spots. So when you look at the talent that's on the board next round, I do think corner could be a position that you might want to target. William Jackson has not been as phenomenal as hoped for. Obviously, you paid him a pretty big amount. I think Derek Stingley could be a good option for this team. I don't like the way he looks in the uniform. I know that's not a reason not to get him, but definitely something to consider there. I am thinking about trading back, though. I am. And there are some teams that I think could be phenomenal suitors for this pick. One of those teams being the Ravens. You know, they did just bring back Michael Pierce, unfortunately, but even the Browns could be looking to acquire this pick, because I kind of want to go linebacker here with Devin Lloyd. Heard a lot of bad stuff about Nakobe Dean in terms of what the NFL views him as. I don't give a rat's ass. I still think that he is a blue chip player, but Devin Lloyd is phenomenal. I'm not going to take him here, but when you look at the potential of Jordan Davis, I think that the value is just too good to pass on when there's a team like the Browns here trying to compete in the AFC. So I've never done this trade before, but with the fact that the Brownies might very well have to go wide receiver again, it does make it a little bit tougher. With that short of a range jump, I think a 4th-round pick is more than adequate at this point. Yeah, we could have went for a 3rd, but again, for 2 spots, that's going to be a little bit tough. And at this spot, I mean, yeah, you could consider quarterback here, but I'm not doing it. Oh, son of a bitch. You got Travon Walker on the board too. Can you imagine Travon Walker? Oh my God, him combined with Myles Garrett. Either way, you're getting a stud prospect here, because either of them would have been chosen by the Vikings next, because I think that would be a phenomenal option. I'm going to go Travon Walker. Yeah, I think that there's a little bit more hype with him. There's a little more questions on Jordan Davis, given the 2-down ability. Travon Walker's super raw, but you can't get better than Myles Garrett as a number 1 to have him be a number 2 too. So at number 12, yeah, luckily Kyle Hamilton's not on the board at this point. Not for you guys, but just in general, makes me feel a lot better about the draft. We're going to go Jordan Davis here. Obviously, Rams coach, now the head coach there. And he's obviously seen the impact of Aaron Donald. So getting a game-changing interior defensive lineman very well might be the best thing that you can do for your franchise. Number 13 with Washington, we're going to just pull the trigger. We don't want the Eagles to nab him. So we're going to go Devin Lloyd out of Utah. Make sure that you get an impact linebacker that can play a true Mike role. Now it will actually boost the capabilities of your linebacking core. Cole Holcomb in there, Jamin Davis. Now you got Devin Lloyd. That's a good way to build a very solid defense. Now you have Chase Young coming back as well. You're starting to rebuild your franchise to be able to help Carson Wentz out in any way possible. Number 14, the Ravens do not need interior defensive line anymore unless you're talking about 3-4 defensive end. That could be accomplished with Devontae Wyatt. That'd be very entertaining. But I do think, again, the Michigan defensive coordinator is now the defensive coordinator for the Ravens. David Ojabo played with Odafe Owe in high school. It just lines up perfectly. And you guys also just lost to Darius Smith. So sorry to hit a raw nerve there, but that is the way that is going to go. Number 15 with the Eagles. So yeah, this pick, it's actually a tough one now, because when you look at the board, edge has been pretty much filled for the most part. I still think Jermaine Johnson would be a good move, because I just don't think Josh Sweat is exactly a true one. But at the same time, you could look at corner, because Derek Stingley's on the board. And yeah, you could say for the Ravens, you could do that. But I know that from my internal research that they're actually starting to target guys down the board for depth rather than a starter. So we're going to go Derek Stingley Jr. here out of LSU. That Lazy Susan injury is actually a really big one. And the fact that he hasn't been healthy for 2 years, this is not an impossibility. So rejoice, Eagles fans, because yeah, it's definitely a phenomenal steal. But at the same time, when you look at it, again, good players fall. And Derek Stingley could be a huge bust, but he could be a huge success. And I think that's a big plus there in Philly. Number 16, this is going to be Treylon Burks. Again, you went after Juju Smith-Schuster last year. You want a bigger wide receiver to pair it with Devontae Smith. Treylon Burks is the guy to do it. 6'3", 232 pounds. And yes, he runs a 4.55. But if you see his actual top speed, this guy gets up there. Like he's able to, he has like that 4.38 type speed. If you just take off that initial, like how slow he is at accelerating, this guy can take off. And he's really good with the ball in his hands. Big fan of what Treylon Burks could do. Number 17 for the Chargers, interior defensive line is not a need. They just brought on 2 dudes in free agency. Tackle could be. I think Lyle Collins would be a good fit for this team if they want to go after Jameson Williams, who would be a stud pick here, by the way. But I'm going to go Trevor Penning. I do think that that'd be a good option. Going back-to-back offensive line in the first round, can never have too many offensive linemen, ever. And Trevor Penning is the next guy who I have the most confidence in potentially starting. At pick 17, it is so worth it to continue investing in your quarterback in a division where you're having some pretty nasty pass rushers like Chandler Jones going to be facing you twice a year. You've got Randy Gregory, who's going to be facing you twice a year. Bradley Chubb. The list goes on. Yeah, so you want to make sure that you are fully protected there. I did not want to mention any Chiefs edge defenders for a reason. Number 18. So this pick is going to be traded to the Houston Texans for Deshaun Watson. I think that that is going to be the way it turns out. I know that Atlanta is, I'm checking Twitter right now to make sure I'm not about to get totally screwed over here. I know Atlanta is making a very strong case, but I honestly don't really care. So yeah, the first and second round picks are going to be going along with the first and second of that year. And honestly, they're asking for 3 first-round picks. So we're going to be doing that, keeping the second-round pick for that year. Maybe they'll go 3 1s and then 2 2s. Does it make a difference on this draft? No. But we're going to be doing that, of course, and that is going to be Deshaun Watson. What do I think is going to happen with this trade? I think that they very well might be getting rid of Michael Thomas. I just think that might be a big price. The Texans very well might want a true number 1 wide receiver when healthy. You could even consider Alvin Kamara as part of the deal. You're going to have to give up something. And that's going to be the weird thing that might be the big unknown is what do they give up? Do they give up Marshawn Lattimore and 2 firsts? I don't know. But I do think that Deshaun Watson should be going here to the Saints. Again, if I'm Deshaun Watson, I know Falcons are home. I just can't see it. I don't see the reasoning. They're not the best cap-wise. They're terrible roster-wise, arguably the worst roster in the NFL. I just don't get it. I really don't. So at least this team has pieces. And, well, we're not going to be drafting for them anymore. So sorry, Saints fans. At least you guys get to rejoice in Deshaun Watson being a New Orleans Saints. But that's okay. We got the number 18 pick here with the Texans again. And this could be Jermaine Johnson. We could also look at Trent McDuffie, Kyer Elam, Andrew Booth here. And I still think those would all be phenomenal options. But I do think when you can pick up a 5-star prospect like Jermaine Johnson, you take the cake. That guy's a phenomenal edge rusher. Definitely somebody who I'd probably pick up with the number 19 pick. Number 19, though, with the Philadelphia Eagles, this could still be George Karlaftis. Somebody who kind of should be rising up boards. I am a little bit worried about him dropping 10 to 15 pounds, but at the same time, he actually got his ass in shape. His explosiveness is off the charts. I'm sure his Purdue Pro Day, if he tests his 40, it will be more than adequate. So I do think that is going to be an option that they are going to explore. And I still think that's an option they'll take. So George Karlaftis out of Purdue here. Yeah, I do think that you should consider Devontae Wyatt, but you're bringing back Fletcher Cox on a 1-year deal. You have 2 more interior defensive linemen on the roster. And then, of course, you have 2 edge rushers. So the big hole is at the edge rush position, in my opinion, because good rotation, especially with Josh Sweat being there, is all you can ask for. Yes, he was a Pro Bowler, but at the same time, you got to make sure that you save face. You got to make sure that you have guys who are healthy as well, because injuries, as we all know in Philadelphia, happen all the time. Number 20 with the Steelers. So with this pick, I've heard that they are targeting wide receiver in the draft. I do. The Jameson Williams could be a really weird option. It could be. So watch out for that being a potential possibility. I do think Devontae Wyatt could be a fun one. I do. At this point, his talent level is ridiculously high, and I think that this could be a good spot for him to go. But I do think that corner could be an option as well. When you analyze it, you realize that the Steelers brought on Levi Wallace as a boundary corner. I love Levi Wallace. He is not a true one. I think Kaiir Elam is. And I do think the Steelers do need to boost that secondary. And doing that with Kaiir Elam might be the best bet. They haven't made a home run move yet, I believe, on a corner. They've done a great job on the offensive line. I would love to go after Mr. 31-inch arms and Tyler Linderbaum here. Not going to happen. We're going to be going Kaiir Elam here out of Florida. I just love his ability in man and zone. Very balanced corner. Definitely somebody who I want on my roster. Number 21 with the New England Patriots. I think this is a good spot that we see Jameson Williams or Chris Olave go. And it's a tough one. I'm actually going to go Jameson. Going back to Alabama, I know that he didn't play with Mac Jones, but when you can get an all-star prospect like Jameson, and I know that Mac has enough arm strength to get it out there, it's just a new dimension to the team that they did not have before. So I really do like what you can bring to the team with Jameson. Kind of just goes like this to the Green Bay Packers, which, guys, Davante Adams was traded. And he was given a $28 million, I think it was like $28.2 million a year. That is insane. Insane. But honestly, I think it's a win for both teams. You know, Davante Adams really wanted to go to Vegas, and the price tag is ridiculous when you combine it with Aaron Rodgers. I think it saves both teams. The Vegas Raiders have to stay competitive. They did that. The Packers need to make sure that they have enough talent on the roster with their cap situation. They just did. A first and a second round pick, some people might say is a little bit too thin. I don't. Again, you just had to pay him $30 million pretty much a year. I heard the Packers actually gave him a bigger offer, which is insane. I don't know how the hell they do it, but they did. And I still think they did a phenomenal job. So I'm probably in the rare instance here saying it's a win for both teams. So with this pick, I think that do I dare just piss off Aaron Rodgers? Because I do think that this is going to be the move. We're going to do it. We're going to go Devontae Wyatt here. I think that's the best move possible. I do think that we're 100% going to be going wide receiver here. If not, we're going to trade up for it. There's no doubt in my mind. But Devontae Wyatt's just too damn good. The guy is unbelievable. Number 23 with the Cards. So all of a sudden, everybody's saying Tyler Linderbaum's the shit and is going to be going to them. If he was the shit, he'd be going earlier. And that's exactly where I wanted to put him, a lot earlier. But that's not what's going to happen. I think the guard is still on the table, though. I do. And I think Zion Johnson or Kenyon Green, everybody's hinting at Zion being the first interior guy off the board. I do think edge needs to be a new priority, though. Unfortunately, there's nobody here. So you need to find out what you can do in the next round in order to make that work. A wide receiver, I think Chris Olave might be the option. You just lost Christian Kirk, and you pretty much have Rondale Moore and DeAndre Hopkins. This sounds like a lot, but I mean, if Kyler Murray is bitching and those are his wide receivers, including Christian Kirk, you need to make sure that he's pretty well protected. Chris Olave is going to be that option. Now you have the Dallas Cowboys here, and this is a really weird one for me, but we're going to go Tyler Linderbaum out of Iowa. Yeah, that center guard spot is empty, and I think that needs to be a priority position. Number 25, the Bills are on the board. If I'm the Bills, I want to go a corner, and I don't want to go it here. So we're going to actually have a trade up with the Packers to be able to get Jahan Dotson. Yeah, we're making sure that the Titans don't get their nabby little hands on that. Yeah, making sure another AFC team that might compete doesn't get their hands on it is probably the best move possible. Asking for maybe a 6th rounder in return to give us that 6th round is probably the best move that we can do. So with this pick, we are going to be going after Jahan Dotson out of Penn State. Now we have a totally loaded roster with talent. I think Jahan Dotson is a true number one who can absolutely ball the fuck out. You might not want him to be number 1 at 5'11", but I do think that his play transcends his size. Number 26 with the Tennessee Titans. This is going to be an offensive guard, and this is going to be actually Kenyon Green out of Texas A&M. They brought back their center, so there's no need for his center guard versatility. And I think that his ability as a tackle is phenomenal. Zion Johnson's going to be this pick, by the way. I mean, yeah, you brought in not Alex Kappa. He went to the Bengals, but I'm bugging. You brought in a certain guard, Shaq Mason, right? So you brought him in on a trade 5th round pick, which is a steal, by the way. But you need still that one guard spot. And Ryan Jensen might not last forever, 3 years, $39 million. I still think Zion Johnson could be a really high upside type of pick. Number 28 for the Bills. That could have been one of the guys that they went after. I don't really see it. Corner is such a huge need for the team, and you got some really talented dudes on the board. I mean, I might want to go Andrew Booth here because he is a little bit more stereotypically sized, and Tariq Woolen would be phenomenal. Honestly, I think Tariq Woolen might go early. We're going to go Trent McDuffie here for the Buffalo Bills. Might not be an exact scheme fit, but I think that with safety help, and again, he tested 4.44, so you know he has the speed. I think he'll be perfectly fine. He would be an amazing number 2. Number 29 with the Dolphins. Okay, so tackle still could be a big position to go after. Bernard Rhyan should probably be the pick. Nakobe Dean, yeah, he could have been the pick for the Cowboys. He's not. He's going to be the pick here. I got to make it a little bit more realistic. People are saying he's going to be a 3rd round pick. He's not to me, but I think that is going to be what you can do. Number 30 for the Kansas City Chiefs. This should be a wide receiver. They've been searching for it for a long time. You could go safety here and get Dax Hill, but I have a weird feeling Sky Moore is going to impress, and the lack of legitimate number 1 or impact wide receivers is starting to scare me a little bit. And I think Sky Moore, since they're looking at Jarvis Landry, would be a great guy to put in that position. Number 31, the Bengals are sitting here, and I think they're going to bring on Lyle Collins. I really do. I hope they make a strong push for him. That being said, I think corner is the biggest position that you need to improve upon. I really do. You brought back Eli Apple on a 1-year, $4 million deal. I still think that's the position with the most potential growth. And since that you don't need to exactly start Tariq Woolen, I think that getting a guy who runs 4.26 at 6'4" is going to be the best thing that you can do for your team. And now number 32, we got the Lions. And the Lions, honestly, we got DJ Shark on the team. You could take a shot on a QB. I just don't see it happening. So we're going to be actually going not Daxton Hill. We're going to go Lewis Cine here out of Georgia. Yeah, ran a 4.37, absolute baller. So that's going to be the 1st round. Let's go right into round 2. With the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think this could be, you could look definitely at like another edge position because I know we got Aidan Hutchinson. We could go Perrion Winfrey here, put him right inside, and then have Aidan Hutchinson on the outside. That'd be a phenomenal option in my opinion. Not going to happen though. We could take Bernard Rhyan. I would just think that would be such a shitty downgrade. It's just, I don't like it. You could take a corner as well, but I know that linebacker is pretty barren on this team at the moment. Miles Jack, bye-bye. So I think that would be a good option. You could look at Leo Chanel here. You can look at Christian Harris. I think that even Brian Asamoah, you know what? I have a weird feeling that he's going to go early. Leo Chanel, 250 pounds at 6'2", who runs a 4.5 and can bench over 40 reps. Yeah, that guy could be special. Definitely feels like a Jacksonville Jaguar as well. Not too shabby in coverage. I feel like he's a slightly downgraded version of Zaven Collins, and that's a big compliment from me. Number 34 with the Lions, we got to go. We got to go linebacker here, right? That just makes sense. Makes 100% sense. Christian Harris is on the board. We take Christian Harris. And let's just do a quick little recap of who is on the board. We got some solid wide receivers. We got some solid interior offensive linemen, some really good safeties and stuff too. You could even see it for the Jets, a potential safety move here. But corners should be a position that we do target. And Andrew Booth's on the board, Kyler Gordon. I think those guys are both – I have a 2nd round grade in Andrew Booth, and I think that'd be a good option for the team. So that being said, I think then – oh, man, I know that they just also signed a tight end. So, yeah, we'll go Andrew Booth. I'm not that big of a fan of it because I do want to get Trey McBride for the team, but with the New York Giants on the board, I think that wouldn't be a bad idea. We could go edge here, but I do think Trey McBride is the best option for the team overall. and it might bite me in the ass, but I think that that's probably the best thing that you can do. Number 37 for the Texans. I think that, oh man, I mean, Kyler Gordon would be such a good fit in this scheme. I think that'd be just a great option. So we went edge earlier, and like that's great. We went Jermaine Johnson. We could still go in the interior though. And I think Perrion Winfrey out of Oklahoma is the best thing that you can do for this franchise. Go Perrion Winfrey here, lock him in. Number 38, we're back with the Jets, and I still think linebacker is a move that you got to do. It is. I haven't seen any big moves in this for this franchise in linebacker, and Brian Asamoah is on the board. I think that he's a 5-star linebacker. He's my number 2 graded in the class. Number 39 with the Bears. Wide receiver is such a need here. George Pickens is on the board, and I think that's what they're going to go with. A true number 1 build. I hate this camera angle, by the way. It's so annoying. But yeah, I like George Pickens. Phenomenal wide receiver. Has big bust potential, but at the same time, he has a perfect frame to take a shot on you're taking a shot on a 5-star wide receiver in round 2. That's a good start. Number 40 with the Seahawks. We went Derek Stingley so far. Now we're actually going to take a shot on Bernhard Raimann. I know that we heard about Brown going over to the Seahawks, and we finally, I don't have the mic, guys, to get to hear the fan again, but I think that would be a really good option. Number 41, I know that they just got Shelby Harris, so I think that going after an edge isn't a need, but that actually might open up the desirability for Boye Mafe to come back into the equation. Really solid edge out of Minnesota. Number 42 for the Colts, they're lucky. Quarterbacks fell. And I don't think the Seahawks would actually want any of these guys. I don't think many of them are upgrade over Drew Lock year 1. So I'm going to be going Sam Howell here out of North Carolina. Big, strong arm, big potential. Number 43 for the Falcons. I'm going to assume that he lost out on the Deshaun Watson run, and I think that they will be going after a quarterback. I just saw 8 Twitter notifications pop up, and apparently it is not good. David Ojabo just hurt Michigan's oh, man, that is terrible. So that hurts me because I love David Ojabo, but I really don't think that that's going to change anything. That's unfortunate. So hopefully that he will be okay. Still, regardless, I still think he's going to be going to the Ravens there. They don't really, they take the best player available. So yeah, this pick, I think they got to go with QB, and I think the one that they probably like the most is Desmond Ridder. You know, he just feels like someone that would be solidly fit for the Falcons here. You could go Matt Corral as well. I just feel like they want someone who can actually step in and play day 1, and Desmond Ridder probably is your best bet of that. Browns on the board. You know, Baker just requested a trade. You could be going after another QB here. Kenny Pickett could be a guy you could definitely slot in day 1, but I think wide receiver is a position that you want to target. And Alec Pierce here out of Cincinnati will be a guy who goes in this round. Big, tall, 6'3", 4.41 speed. He's my number 5 wide receiver. So I've taken wide receivers before him that I don't even have anywhere near him. That's how good he is. Number 45 with the, oh, wow, I just bugged out on the Ravens name. With the Ravens, I think that maybe developing a guard or a guard tackle hybrid would not be a bad idea. Brought on Morgan Moses for a 2-year deal. I think Tyler Smith would be a phenomenal option, really good run blocker. I think that he would just be a very solid asset to the team. 46, I know that the Vikings could still use a safety or a corner. So I'm going to actually go after Jalen Petrie here out of Baylor. They can play a corner or safety position. I think that would be a pretty good option for the team. Number 47 with Washington, they just got rid of their strong safety. I know Cam Curl's still there, but I think Jaquan Brisker can play deep. He can play anywhere you want him to. He complained about his 40, which is still, I think, maybe in the 4.4s. And he said that it was just because he hurt himself in the bench press. I think that guy's one hell of a competitor. I'm going to be taking him. Number 48 for the Bears, I think this got to be a guard spot, and Sean Ryan's the exact guy I want. You know, you just lost James Daniels to the Steelers, but I think that'd be a good pick. Number 49 with the Texans, I think that going after a corner, again, would be a solid option. But at the same time, Dax Hill's on the board. We're going to be taking him. Can play slot, can play safety. I think that versatility and the explosiveness is just too good to pass on. Number 50 with the, I keep wanting to say Philadelphia Eagles, with Miami Dolphins. I think that going after Christian Watson could be an intriguing move for the franchise. Obviously, that wouldn't be a bad choice. I wish they did not bring a running back on, or else I would go Brees Hall. That's just not the case anymore. You could go after an offensive lineman. I just don't think anybody's worth it at this point. Tight end, no. So I think wide receiver should be the route that you go. I just don't really see anybody being a true one here, maybe except Jalen Tolbert, and not that big of a fan of that. We went Nakobe Dean in round 1. I mean, we could go edge in round 2. We could. You guys just gave a big $60 million contract as well, though. So with that being said, this should be a trade back. And I think it will be. This is actually going to be a big trade back because I can see a couple of teams wanting to go after a 6'5" wide receiver. This is going to be a trade back with the 49ers. So obviously the Niners and Dolphins are pretty well acquainted at this point. The Niners are going to be trading up here, trading up 11 spots. So they're going to be giving up a 3rd round pick, but they're going to be giving up the 105. It makes sense. It's 11 spot move up. That's a pretty big one. So yeah, we're going to be doing that. And for the Niners, I think Christian Watson is a surefire bet. You're going to be taking him right there. Number 51 with the Eagles. You could still look at offensive line here, but safety should be something you also tend to peek at. I hope Tyrann Mathieu goes to the squad. I do. But linebacker is something that I think you should target. And Chad Muma just feels, I've been saying it for a long time, feels like a Philadelphia Eagle. So we're going to go with it. Chad Muma out of Wyoming. Steelers are on the board. And this is going to be a quarterback. This is Matt Corral out of Ole Miss. Yeah, we got baby hands Pickett here. They've been seeing him for 4 years suck and do pretty well for the 5th year. Okay, that's great. I mean, I think that might be a negative how close they were to him because they've seen him not progress until the final year after 4 years. You should be producing at a pretty high level if you're a redshirt senior after playing the same squad for that long. Matt Corral at least he's a redshirt. He's a redshirt junior, but he was somebody who has one hell of a tenacity, has some big upside, and does not have very tiny hands. A lot of people say that's not a big deal. I think it is. Edge rusher should be the position to target here. Arnold Ebiketie is a phenomenal edge rusher. Definitely lock him in. Number 54 with the Patriots, I think that a corner should be the utmost priority here. And Kyler Gordon is on the board. Sign me up for that. Big fan of it. Jeff Gladney just came to this squad, but we need to go an edge route here. There's no doubt in my mind that you need to go edge. And I think that going after Drake Jackson would be the best chance for you guys to actually hit him or Sam Williams. And I think Drake Jackson could be a big riser because of what just happened. Of course, fortunately, we saw what happened to David Ojabo. But I think he'll be perfectly fine. I don't think he'll fall very far. People were talking about him in the top 8. I still think he'll be perfectly fine. Number 56, the Cowboys could go after an edge rusher here. And I think that would be a very smart move. I really do. It just sucks. I think Sam Williams out of Ole Miss should be a good target, though. He's a round 2 edge for me. Guy's phenomenal. I just do think that losing Randy Gregory hurts. And I don't think Michael's going to be a full-time edge rusher. Number 57 for the Bills, I think that running back could be a target for the team. They did want to get a scat back. And Brees Hall could be exactly what you're looking for. Not exactly utilized as a pure receiver, but he's a guy who could be a true number 1 running back. And at this point, might be worth it. I mean, wide receiver-wise, I just don't see anybody who I'd want. So I think that going after Brees Hall would not be a terrible move. Again, you did lose John Feliciano. And honestly, we're going to go Jamari Sawyer here. Guy can play tackle or guard. I think at this point, making sure you have a roster deep enough is probably the best thing you can do. For the Falcons here, we've already went quarterback. We've already went wide receiver. I think actually going maybe a linebacker wouldn't be a bad move either. We have Troy Anderson out of Montana State, tested very similar to Foye Sade-Aluakun, who just was unfortunately nabbed by the Jaguars. So Troy Anderson is a good move here. Number 59 for the Packers. I think this is going to be Aaron Rodgers saying, I need offensive line. And Abraham Lucas is one of the best offensive linemen day 1 in this class. If you want offensive line, you go after him to be a surefire bet. Number 60 for the Buccaneers. I think getting extra corner depth would never be a bad idea. And they like Auburn corners. So put 2 and 2 together. Roger McCreary out of Auburn. Number 61, we got the Dolphins. And the Dolphins traded back, man. They did. I think wide receiver is still on the board here. I do. And I think Jalen Tolbert would be a really good option for Tua Tagovailoa. So we're going to be doing it. I think the guy's just an absolute baller. Big fan of him. Number 62 for the Chiefs. We unfortunately lost out on the safety realm, but we can go after Marcus Jones, who could be a slot safety as well. I think that guy's an absolute freak of nature. Big fan of him. Number 63 for the Bengals. I think that this could be a developmental tackle. It could be. But I also think that you probably want to develop somebody. So when you look at the guys who are on the board, I mean, I think it just might be too good to pass. Oh, man. Travis Jones is still on the board. Oh, my gosh. Travis Jones needs to come off the board. Team's going to be trading up for Travis Jones. And I got to think about the team that would want to do this because, I mean, Travis Jones is phenomenal. Like, let's see maybe a team that would want to nab him. We could even see Green Bay try to make a big move again, but that's not going to happen in my books. Honestly, Minnesota could. I know that. Who did Minnesota go after? They went after Jordan Davis before, so they don't need to do that. He needs to go. That's the thing. He needs to go. Good players do fall, but that also drives extra demand. So looking at guys, oh man, the Bears, I know they just brought on a D tackle, but I think that might be a little too good to pass on, man. I'm telling you, it might be a little too good. The Jets are moving up. Yep. You just lost Foley Fatukasi. Yeah, you need to move up right now. Right now. You're giving that third round pick and you're going to be giving up a fourth, asking for a seventh in return. You sign up for that. You put that in. I don't care. Yeah, you're getting Travis Jones out of UConn here. And then finally ending off with the Broncos. So yeah, you guys got your edge of the future. Linebacker still is a pretty big need. There's some really good ones on the board, by the way. It's just tough to choose between them. You could go after offensive line too. You could. I don't think that would be a bad option because, again, I love offensive line. But at this point, actually going after best player available, and I think that's DeMarvin Leal would be the best bet. So hopefully you can use him as an edge rusher. That is going to be the draft, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys on the far side. Peace.